Good day everyone. So I am Sairami Abaapanyo, your discussant for today. And ang tatalakayin natin for today ay karugtong lamang sa tinalakay ni Ginoong Jeffrey Morales patungkol sa methods of reliability, na kung saan malalaman natin if ang test na binigay ng isang guro ay reliable. So, bago natin talakayin yung natitirang methods of reliability, balikan muna natin itong level of reliability coefficient, na kung saan ito yung magiging basihan natin sa pag-i-interpret ng reliability coefficient o ng result ng test. So, if the reliability coefficient is above 0.90, the interpretation of the test is the test is excellent reliable. And if the reliability coefficient is 0.81 to 0.90, the interpretation of the test is very good for the classroom test. Next is, if the reliability coefficient is 0.71 to 0.80, the interpretation for this is good for the classroom test. There are probably few items need to be improved. Yun yung pag-i-interpret sa reliability coefficient. Next naman, if the reliability coefficient is 0.61 to 0.70, the interpretation of this sa test na ito ay somewhat low. The test needs to be supplemented by other measured more tests to determine grades. Ito yung pagkaka-interpret if yung reliability coefficient is 0.61 to 0.70. Sunod naman, if the reliability coefficient is 0.51 to 0.60, the interpretation of this data will be suggest need for the revision of test. Unless it is quite short, 10 or fewer items, it needs to be supplemented by other measured or more tests for grading. And last, if the reliability coefficient is 0.50 and below, the interpretation of this is the test is questionable reliability. This test should not contribute heavily to the course grade and it needs revision. So yun yung pag-i-interpret sa ating reliability coefficient. Yun yung levels of interpretation. At ngayon naman, tatalakayin na natin ang split half method. Isa sa mga method ng reliability kung paano natin malalaman if ang test is reliable. In split half method, the test is administered once and score two equivalent halves of the test. So, to split the test into halves that are equivalent, the usual procedure is to score the even numbered and the odd numbered in the test items separately. So, this provides two scores for each student. And to estimate reliability, Spearman-Brown prophecy formula is used. So, para mas maintindihan natin, may hinanda akong halimbawa. So, ito yung halimbawa ng split half method. The situation is, Prof. Edwin Reyes conducted a test to his 10 students in his chemistry class. The test was given only once. The scores for the students in odd and even items below were gathered. O is for odd items and E is for even items. Using the split half method, is the test reliable? Show the complete solution. So we have here the table na kung saan makikita natin yung mga scores ng students sa odd items na nagre-represent sa X and sa even items na nagre-represent sa Y items. So sa odd items, ito yung mga score, yung 15, 19, 20, 25, and so on. Sa even items naman, ito yung mga score ay 20, 17, 24, 21, and so on. So, para malaman natin if yung test is reliable, we will use the Spearman-Brown formula. So, we have here the reliability of the original test is equals to 2 times the reliability of correlation of odd and even items divided by 1 plus the reliability of the correlation of odd and even items to find the reliability of the whole test. So first, we will find the submission of x, submission of y, submission of xy, submission of x squared, and submission of y squared to solve the reliability of the odd and even item test. So, this table shows the scores of odd and even items na kung saan makikita rin natin kung paano kukuhain yung or magiget yung submission of x, submission of y, submission of xy, submission of x squared, and submission of y squared. So, una, para malaman natin yung submission of x, i-add lang natin lahat ng ito. I-add natin lahat ng nandito sa x. So, 15 plus 19 plus 20 plus 25 and so on. And the result for that is 200. So, yung submission of x natin is equals to 200. So, gaya ng dito, gagawin rin natin yan sa y na part, dito sa even. So, 20 plus 17 plus 24 and so on, malalaman natin yung submission nila. So, the submission of y is equals to 221. Paano naman natin kukunin yung submission ni xy? So, unang-una, kukunin muna natin yung value ni xy. So, paano? I-multiply lang natin itong nandito sa x and nandito sa y. Yung 15 times 20 is equals to 300. Next naman, yung 19 times 17 is equals to 323. And next naman, yung 20 times 24 is equals to 400. And so on. So, imagine that natapos na natin kunin yung value ni x and y. So, para makuha natin yung submission of xy, kinakailangan nating i-add silang lahat. So, ito yung 300 plus 323 plus 480 plus 525 and so on. And ito yung magiging result. 4,249. So, ito na yung magiging value ni submission of xy. Next naman, kukunin natin yung value ni x squared. So, saan natin hahanapin si x squared? Syempre, dito sa add items na kung saan, i-multiply lang natin yung 15 sa 15 dahil nga x squared. So, 15 times 15 is equals to 225. So, next naman yung 19. 19 times 19 is equals to 361. 20 times 20 is equals to 400. So, and so on. So, imagine that nakuha na natin lahat yung value ni x squared. So, para makuha naman natin sa submission of x squared, i-add na lang natin itong lahat. So, 225 plus 361 plus 400 and so on. And magre-result yan ng 4,096. And same process pa rin dito sa y squared. So, para makuha natin yung value ni y squared, i-multiply lang natin itong nandito sa y. I-multiply natin siya itself. So, 20 times 20 is equals to 400 rather. So, 17 times 17 is equals to 289. 24 times 24 is equals to 576 and so on. And magre-result siya ng, so ang submission of y squared is equals to 4,533. So, di ba nabanggit kanina, in order to solve the reliability of the odd and even items, need natin tong hanapin si submission of x, submission of y, submission of xy, submission of x squared, and submission of y squared. So, ngayong nahanap na natin, ang next naman ay, at ngayon, isasub na natin yung mga value na nakuha natin sa ating formula, which is yung Rx is equals to n times submission of xy minus submission of x times submission of y over the square root of n times submission of x squared minus submission of y quantity squared times n times submission of y squared minus submission of y quantity squared. Ngayon, yung n natin is 10 kasi ito yung total number of our students. Then, yung submission of xy, ito. And then, submission of xy is 4,249 minus 200, which is yung submission of x, times submission of y yung 211 over the square root of 10 yung total number of students times 4,096 yung submission of x squared minus 200 yung submission of 200 quantity squared. Yung times 10 yung total number of students times 4,533 yung submission of y squared minus 211 yung submission of y squared quantity squared. So, first nating gagawin ay imumultiply muna natin yung 10 times 4,249 is equals to 42,490. Ganun rin sa kabila, yung 200 times 211 is equals to 42,200 over squared of ganun rin. So, sinisimplify lang natin yung mga value na sinasubstitute natin. So, first, 10 times 4,096 is equals to 40,960 minus itong 200 squared. So, 40,000. So, ito naman sa kabila, yung 10 times 4,533 is equals to 45,330 minus the square root of 211 is equals to 44,521. Ngayon, ganun pa rin yung gagawin natin, isisimplify natin. So, sa taas, yung 42,490 minus 42,200 equals 290. Yung sa baba, over square root of, ito naman, yung 40,960 minus 40,000 equals to 960. Yung sa kabila naman, 45,333 minus 44,521 is equals to 809. So, yun. Next is RXY is equals to 290. Ikakopy lang muna natin yung nasa itaas. Over the square root of, ngayon, ito muna yung i-multiply natin. So, 960 times 809 is equals to 776640. So, square root. So, next is, ikakopy pa rin natin yung 290. I-square muna natin itong nasa ibaba. So, the square root of 776640 is 881.27. So, atin na itong isosolve. So, 290 divided by 881.27 is equals to 0.33. To find the reliability of the original test using the formula, which is yung kanina, yung kay Spearman-Brown formula, yung reliability reliability of the original test is equals to 2 times the reliability of the correlation of odd and even items over 1 plus reliability of the correlation of odd and even items. So, ang gagawin natin ngayon ay ganun pa rin. Isa-substitute natin yung nakuha nating value, yung RXY is equals to 0.33. So, ROT is equals to 2 times yung value ni RXY, which is yung 0.33 over 1 plus yung value pa rin ni RXY, yung 0.33. So, next, ay atin itong sa taas, i-multiply natin siya. So, 2 times 0.33 is equals to 0.66. Sa baba naman, 1 plus 0.33 is equals to 1.33. Then, ang gagawin natin para makuha yung final answer is i-divide natin siya. So, 0.66 divided by 1.33 is equals to 0.50. 0.50. So the analysis or interpretation of this test is the reliability coefficient using Brown formula is 0.50, which is questionable reliability. Hence, the test items should be revised. So, ito yung pag-i-interpret. At ngayon, tapos na tayo sa split half method na sana'y may natutunan kayo sa example na yon. Ngayon, dumako naman tayo sa KUDER-RICHARDSON formula. Isa rin ito sa mga method of reliability kung paano natin malalaman or kung paano natin kukunin ang reliability coefficient na kung saan malalaman natin if ang test is reliable. So, KUDER-RICHARDSON method is administer the test once, gaya ng sa split half method. It score the total tests and apply the KUDER-RICHARDSON or KR formula. The KR-20 is applicable only in situations where students' responses are scored as right or wrong, true or false, and yes or no type. The KR-20 formula estimates of reliability provide information whether the degree to which the items in the test measure is of the same characteristic. It is an assumption that all items are of equal in difficulty. And there are other formula for testing the internal consistency of the test, and it is the KR-21 formula or the KUDER-RICHARDSON 21, which is not limited to test items that are scored dichotomously or yung yes or no type na test. At para mas maintindihan natin yung KR-20 at KR-21 formula, may mga halimbawa akong hinanda. So, ito yung halimbawa ng KUDER-RICHARDSON 21 formula or yung KR-21 formula. So, the situation is, Miss Angel administered a 40-item test in English for her grade 6 pupils in Tigao Elementary School. Below are the scores of 15 pupils. Find the reliability using KUDER-RICHARDSON 21 or KR-21 formula. So, the table shows the number of students and their scores. So, using this table, we can solve the mean and the standard deviation. So, our total number of students is 15 as this table shows. Then, our X, ito yung mga score ng student. So, ang score na student 1 is yung 16, student 2, 25, student 3, 35, and so on. So, paano natin kukunin tong si X squared? Ganun pa rin sa So, we will multiply the 16 itself. So, 16 times 16 is equals to 256. 25 times 25 is equals to 625 and so on. So, para makuha natin itong si submission of x, we will add the values or the scores in this column. So, 16 plus 25 plus 35 plus 39 plus 25 and so on is equals to 405, which is our submission of x is equals to 405. Next naman, 'di ba, nakuha na natin yung value na x squared. So, i-add lang natin lahat ng ating value na x squared at malalaman natin yung submission of x squared is equals to 11,917. Nakuha na natin yung total number of students, submission of x, and submission of x squared. Gagamitin natin yon para ma-solve na yung standard division, which is isa-substitute natin yung mga value na iyon. So, applying the formula. So, the formula of standard deviation is squared is equals to n times submission of x squared minus submission of x quantity squared over n times n minus 1. Yun yung ating formula sa standard deviation. So, applying the formula, we have x squared is equals to 15 kasi nga yung total number of students natin is 15 times 11,917 yung natin submission of x squared minus 405 quantity squared over 15 times 15 minus 1. So, ngayon, isi-simplify lang natin siya. So, dito, 15 times 11,917 is equals to 178,755 minus yung value na ni 405 times 405, 164,025 over 15, yung 15 minus 1 is equals to 14. So, ngayon naman, subtract na natin yung nandito sa itaas. Si 178,755 minus 164,025 is equals to 14,730 divided by 210, which is yung 15 times 14. Ngayon naman, 14,730 divided by 210 is equals to 70.40. Ito yung value ni standard division ni x squared na magagamit natin mamaya. Next naman, hahanapin natin yung value ni mean. So, the mean formula is submission of x over n. So, submission of x. So, ito. So, mean is equals to 405, which is ito yung submission of x natin, over 15, which is yung total number of students. So, i-divide lang natin ito, which is 405 divided by 15 is equals to 27. So, yung value ni mean is 27. And now, nahanap na natin yung value ni standard deviation or ni s squared and ni mean, which is yung kakasolve lang natin. In this part, we will solve for the reliability coefficient using the KUDER-RICHARDSON 21 formula. So, the formula for the KR-21 is KR-21 is equals to K over K minus 1 times 1 minus mean, ito yung mean natin, times K minus mean over K squared. So, ano nga ulit si mean at si standard deviation. KR-21 is equals to 40. Yung key natin is 40 kasi nga 40 items yung binigay ng guro. Over 40 minus 1. So, times 1 minus 27, which is yung value ni min na nahanap natin kanina. Times k is yung 40 minus 27 over 40 times 70.14. Ito yung value natin. Ito yung value ni standard deviation. So, ngayon, sisimplify lang natin sila. So, 40, copy the 40 lang, over 39, kasi 40 minus 1, times 1, minus 27, times 30 na siya, kasi 40 minus 27. Over 40 times 70.14. Ikakopy lang natin yung nasa baba. Next naman ay 40 divided by 39 is equals to 1.03 times 1 minus 351. Kasi ito yung value ni 27 times 13 over 2,805.60. Ito yung 40 times, ito yung value ni 40 times 70.14. Ngayon naman, ikakopy lang natin itong si 1.03 times 1 minus 0.1251. Kasi, sinimplify na natin ito. So, ito na yung value niya. And ngayon naman, i-subtract natin siya. So, 1 minus 0.1251 is equals to 8,749. So, ngayon, i-multiply na natin sila. So, ngayon, we will multiply it. So, 1.03 times 0.8749 is equals to 0.90. So, it means, so the analysis for this situation is the reliability coefficient using KR-21 formula is 0.90, which means that the tests have a very good reliability, meaning the test is very good for the classroom test. So it means using the KR-21, the reliability is reliable. So, kasi nga, the interpretation is 0.90. At ngayon, ito naman yung halimbawa ng KUDER-RICHARDSON formula 20 or KR-20 formula. So, yung formula niya is KR-20 is equals to K over K minus 1 times 1 minus the summation of PQ over S squared. So, where K is the number of the test items, P refers to the proportion of the examinees who got the item correct. Q naman refers to the proportion of the examinees who got the item incorrect. S squared is equals to the variation or the variance of the scores. Then, submission of PQ is the submission of the product of the P and Q. Ito yung halimbawa. So, the situation is a 15-item teacher-made test was administered to 12 students and the item analysis were recorded. Test the measure of internal consistency of the teacher-made test using KUDER-RICHARDSON method or yung KR-20. So, ito yung parang ginawang item analysis, no? Para malaman natin. So, para makuha natin yung hinahanap natin. So, dito na banda is yung students, number of students. So, 12 yung number of students natin. So, di ba nga, 15-item teacher-made test yung ibinigay sa 12 students natin. So, ito yon. So, The total score na naka-correct, ito yung total score na correct. At ito naman yung total score of correct sa ito na item. So, ang total score ni student number 1 or student A is 14. And student B naman is 15. Student C is 14. Student D is 15. E is 14. F is 13. 7F, the student G is 9, and so on. So, in item number 1, the total score, the total na nakakorek ng mga estudyante is 9. And sa number 2 is 8, 7, and so on. So, ito yung magpapakita ng item analysis. So, in order for us to get the value of the proportion of the examinees who got the item correct, we will using this formula. So, P is equals to the submission of P over N. So, yung submission of P natin, ito yung 9. Diba? Yes, ito yung 9. Ito yung 9. Ibig sabihin kasi ito yung nakakorek sa item na ito. Submission of P over N, which is yung 12. Kasi nga, the total number of students natin is 12. So, ang score na makukuha natin dyan is 0.75. Kaya 0.75 yung nilagay natin dito. And so on. Pareho lang yung same process lang kung paano natin kukunin yung value ni P sa each items. Ngayon naman, kukunin natin yung value ni Q, which is, ito yung formula. Q, submission of Q over N. So, the submission of Q natin is 3. Kasi, 3 yung naka-incorrect. Sa total sa item number 1, 3 yung naka-incorrect. Total na yon. Over 12, which is yung total number of students. So, 3 divided by 11 is equals to 0.25. Kaya, 0.25 yung nilagay natin dito. And so on. So, in order for us to hanap the PQ or the submission of the product of P at Q, PQ is equals to submission of P and submission of Q. So, ngayon, isa-substitute natin yung nahanap natin. So, halimbawa lang ito, no? So, halimbawa sa item number 1. So, sa item number 1, so, ang submission of P niya or yung incorrect ay submission of P is equals to 0.75 times submission of Q 0.25 yung sa item number 1. Kaya yung PQ is equals to 0.188 dito sa item number 1. And so on. Same process lang yung gagawin natin. At kapag nagawa na natin itong same process na ito at kapag lagay na natin lahat ng mga value sa lahat ng items, i-add na natin yung PQ, which is, kasi kailangan natin itong submission of PQ. So, kapag 0.188 plus 0.222 plus 0.222 and so on, ito yung value na makukuha natin. Si submission of PQ is equals to 3.5069. So, ito na yung value ni submission of PQ. At ngayon naman, para madali nating masubstitute yung kinakailangan kasi natin, ililista natin yung K is equals to 15, submission of PQ is equals to 3.5069, and the variance is equals to 35.74306. At yung hinahanap natin si KR-20. So, paano nga ba natin hahanapin or kukunin itong si variance? So, ngayon, kukunin natin si variance gamit itong calculator. Oo. So, ngayon, first thing first is to click the mode and then find the SD, which is nandito siya sa number 2. So, click the SD number 2. Then, magbe-base pa rin tayo sa table, sa ating data, dito sa table. So, nakikita natin sa table ang total score. Tapos, i-add natin yung score. So, first yung 14. So, instead na i-click natin yung equal sign, i-click natin si M+. So, sa nakikita nyo, nakikita natin ang n is equals to 1, ibig sabihin kasi, kinakount ng calculator kung ilang score ang ating i-add. So, tapos i-add. So, ngayon, tapos na tayo sa 14, di ba? So, next naman tayo is sa 15. So, 15 m plus 14 m plus 15 m plus 14 m plus 13 m plus 9 m plus 4 m plus 2 m plus 2 m plus 1 m plus 0 m plus. So, makikita natin na n is equals to 12. So, ibig sabihin kasi 12 yung score na in-add natin. So, after that, hindi pa rin natin i-click yung equals na sign. Instead, click on, after that, click shift, then find the S-var, so ito yon S-var, then sa calculator, and then i-click natin itong lalabas. So, di ba hinahanap natin, so makikita natin itong lalabas, 1 and 2 and 3. At i-click natin yung number 2 dahil nga yung hinahanap natin ay variance. Then, click mo yung number 2. Click mo yung number 2. Then, makikita natin sa formula na squared yung variance. So, lalagyan natin siya ng squared, which is ito. Squared. Tapos natin maklik yung squared. And now, we can click the equals sign. So, kung makikita natin, yung variance na hinahanap natin ay 35.74305556. So, sa sinulat ko ay parang ito lang yung sinulat ko. So, sinulat na dito yung 35.74306. So, ganun lang yung paghanap gamit ang calculator. So, ngayon naman, hahanapin naman natin si KR-21. So, ito yung formula natin. Isasub lang natin yung mga value nila. So, yung K na value is 15 over 15 minus 1. And then, copy the 1 here. So, 1 over 1 minus. So, yung submission of PQ is 3.5069. So, copy lang natin yon. And yung value naman ni variance, which is yung S squared, is 35.74006. Copy lang na natin. So, ngayon, isi-simplify lang natin sila. And first, dito sa labas, 15 over 15 minus 1 is equal to 14. Kaya, naging 15 over 14. Ngayon naman, 1, copy lang natin yung 1 minus itong value, i-divide natin siya. So, 3.5069 over 35.74,306. So, yung value na yan, i-divide natin is equals to 0.0981. 09.81. And ngayon naman, 15 divided by 14 is equals to 1.0714 times 0.9019. Kasi nga, nag-subtract na tayo ng 1 dito. So, ngayon, i-multiply lang natin sila. So, KR-20 is equals to 0.66 or pwede natin siyang i-round off to 0.97. So, which is, ito na yung resulta sa ating ginawang reliability test. So, the analysis or the interpretation is the reliability coefficient using KR-21 formula is 0.97, which denotes a very high reliability. So, the teacher-made test is reliable. And that's all. This is Sairami Abaapanyo. Thank you for listening and I hope you learned something.